Why is it that when someone you care about starts pulling away, your first instinct is to do the one thing that guarantees you'll lose them forever? You've felt this panic before. She used to light up when she saw your texts. She used to prioritize time with you. She used to look at you with that spark that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. But now there's distance. Now there's hesitation. Now you're desperately trying to figure out how to get back what you once had. And here's what's about to blow your mind. Everything you think you should do to win her back is actually pushing her further away. But before I tell you what actually works, you need to understand why your current approach is sabotaging everything. Most guys do this when they sense someone pulling away. They lean in harder, they text more frequently, they try to recreate those perfect moments from before. They become more available, more accommodating, more eager to please. Sound familiar? But here's the brutal reality. The harder you chase, the faster she runs. You're not rekindling attraction, you're suffocating it. And there's a psychological reason why this backfires so spectacularly. Think about what drew her to you originally. Was it your neediness, your constant availability, your desperate attempts to win her approval? Of course not. She was attracted to the version of you who had his own life, his own interests, his own sense of self-worth that didn't depend on her validation. But here's where it gets interesting, and this is something most people never realize. The person she fell for was confident enough to be himself without apology. He had boundaries. He had standards. He had things going on that made him magnetic. He wasn't analyzing her every move or crafting perfect text messages. So what changed? You got comfortable. You started making her the center of your universe. You began measuring your worth by her responses. You stopped being the attractive, independent person she was drawn to and became someone who needed her attention to feel okay. Now, this is where most relationship advice gets it completely wrong, and you're about to discover why following conventional wisdom is the fastest way to guarantee she never comes back. They tell you to communicate more, to express your feelings, to have that big conversation about where things stand. They tell you to fight for the relationship, to show her how much she means to you, to prove your commitment through grand gestures. But here's what they're missing. Attraction doesn't work that way. Attraction isn't logical. It's not something you can negotiate or convince someone to feel. You can't talk someone into being attracted to you, and you definitely can't chase them into it. And this brings me to the most counterintuitive truth about reattraction. The only way to reattract someone is to become reattractive. But what that actually means will probably shock you. It means you stop chasing completely. But this isn't about playing games or being cruel. This is about understanding something most people never grasp about human psychology. People can't miss someone who's always there. They can't appreciate someone who's constantly available. They can't desire someone who's pursuing them relentlessly. Attraction requires space. It requires uncertainty. It requires the possibility that you might not always be an option. But stopping the chase is only the first part. The second part is what separates the guys who get her back from the guys who lose her forever. While you're giving her that space, you focus on rebuilding yourself. You reconnect with the interests and activities that made you interesting. You spend time with friends who remind you of who you are beyond this relationship. You work on goals that matter to you. But here's the crucial part most people miss. This isn't about playing hard to get or using manipulation tactics. This is about genuinely becoming someone worth being attracted to again. Because if you're so focused on getting her back that you've lost sight of your own life, you've lost what made you attractive. When you do interact with her, everything changes. You're not the person walking on eggshells, hoping to say the right thing. You're not analyzing her every response for signs of hope or rejection. You're the person who enjoys the conversation for what it is, without needing it to mean something more. And here's where it gets really interesting. Something shifts when you stop chasing. The dynamic changes completely. She starts to notice that you're not as available as you used to be. She starts to wonder what you're up to. She starts to remember the version of you that didn't need her validation. But now I need to tell you something that might be hard to hear, because this is where most guys mess everything up again. This might not work the way you want it to. She might not come running back. She might not suddenly realize what she's lost. And that has to be okay with you. Because if you're only doing this to manipulate a specific outcome, you're still operating from the same needy mindset that created the problem. The real power comes from genuinely being okay either way, from knowing that you're valuable regardless of whether she recognizes it, from understanding that your worth isn't determined by her attraction to you. But here's the final piece that ties everything together, and this is the part that actually makes everything else work. This is the paradox of attraction. The moment you stop needing someone's validation is the moment you become most likely to receive it. The moment you stop chasing is the moment you become worth chasing. The moment you start living for yourself is the moment you become someone others want to be part of. So if you want to re-attract her, stop trying to re-attract her. Focus on re-attracting yourself to your own life. Become someone you're excited to be. Build a life that's so fulfilling that whether she's part of it becomes a preference, not a necessity. Because here's what no one tells you about attraction. It's not about being perfect or saying the right things or having the right strategy. It's about being someone who's genuinely happy with who they are and where they're going. It's about being someone who adds value to other people's lives because their own life is already valuable. That's the only way to truly re-attract someone. Not by chasing them back, but by becoming someone worth coming back to.